are a subject still valid today, because this type of denture can be a solution for the patients who don't have enough money to do better dentures, and for the situations in which we need something temporary, quick and temporary. So what we saw is where we guess the equator of the tooth is placed. Now, of course, we have to take into account the whole aspect, the whole teeth, all of the mouth. So it's not the anatomic equator, but the prosthetic equator. We guess how the denture will sit on both sides, on the frontal and back, and we just guess. Yeah. Well, the best way is to do it in parallelometer. We'll learn about that later. But we just mark the prosthetic equator, and in red we mark the trajectory of the wire clasps. Of course, this is above the equator because we need retention, we need some sort of click action, yeah, so to call it. And it's also from a distance to the gum, as you can see the red line, because the denture can go down, press upon the mucosa and the bone in time, so that could press on the mucosa. Yeah, so we don't want in that moment the clasp to touch the marginal gum. Now the plier that we're using is a special one. This is rounded on one side. But the idea is that we start with this round part, which goes on the labial of the tooth, and then slowly we mark. Yeah, we mark it in red maybe. That's easier. We bend it in order to create the part that will connect the very clasp with the base of the denture. Now this is a little bit tricky because we have to get on the interdental, which is not easy. A red pen would be very useful for that. So the ideal is not to bend and debend and rebend the wire, because the metal can lose its elastic properties. So slowly, as you can see, you bring the clasp onto position. Yeah, but it's not perfectly on the dental surface. That's right. We will finalize it when the clasp is on position, because first I have to bring the clasp on position, yeah, as exact as possible, and then I do the final retouch. So you see this this plier that helps me to work. Now I cut it with a classical plier, the one that is mostly used by dental technicians. That's the one, as you can see. So that bending is for the clasp to be retained in the denture. So this is open to the edentulous crest, yeah, edentulously open, right? So it's open to the zone where we have edentulous crest. It has a nice crest, quite close to what we drawed initially, but in most of this part it sits well on the tooth. The ideal thing is to cover 2/3, to touch on 2/3 of the labial surface. Now we'll do the same here. So this clasp will be open to the edentulous crest, edentulously open. The wire is a different one that we normally use. This is a didactic one. It's a very soft one for students to operate it easier. The portion that is in excess, we can cut it, of course, when we make it. And you see, then we go to the lateral ridge. I mean to the molar. Again, this is a special rounded plier. This is the normal one that dental technicians use most of the times. So now this is dentally open. Yeah, it goes from the edentulous crest to the tooth. So it's dentally opened, not edentulously opened. Right. So it has a component that will fix it into the base of the denture. Right. As all clasps must be like that. So you have to think very well where you do it, where you fix it in the base of the dentures in order to avoid placing this retention part of the clasp under the teeth, you see? Because then you won't have place to place the teeth. And on the other side, it doesn't have to be too low, because it will compress the mucosa. So you have to think all these things together, and this is kind of final result. Those clasps that in the end will be embedded, obviously, in the resin of the denture, the base of the denture.